Welcome again, and thank you very much. This is Mr. Gloria Ngasaho welcoming you back online at the African Messenger live as we get ready to broadcast for this other session. It's very, very important, and the topics are really hot this week because they touch a lot of things that have been going on right now in North Africa, and we just wanted to kind of not give an analysis, but look at what's going on and have a little bit of a conversation about what's going on, because it's really important for everybody, for all Africans, for all the people around the world to know and to see what's going on and to try and analyze it from different angles and possibly come up with something. A couple of things that we're going to be talking about today. I want to talk about the demonstration and protests have been taking place in Africa, in North Africa in particular, and how they're being portrayed in mainstream media, and what kind of names are being used for those things to try and kind of make that difference there, I guess, for everybody to understand where we're coming from. And then secondly, we'll be touching in on a few other points, about what's going on there. But first and foremost, it's really important that people know what's been going around in the media, especially in mainstream media. It's so sad to see that most of what's been going around is being portrayed as a conflict in the Middle East, which begs the question to want to know exactly, is North Africa part of Middle East, or is Egypt, is Tunisia, is Algeria, Morocco, and Libya, and all those places, are they part of the Middle East, or are they part of Africa? It's really, really important that we differentiate the two, because I think there's been some, I wouldn't call it confusion, I would say deliberate actions, from the mainstream media to portray North Africa to being part of the Middle East, calling it part of the Middle East turmoil. It is not. North Africa is not part of the Middle East. North Africa is North Africa. That's what they call it, North Africa. It shouldn't even be referred to as North Africa. As far as I'm concerned, it is Africa. South, east, west, it doesn't matter. It's still on the African continent. It's still on African soil. And so it should be seen as such. Because I think this is where the whole thing start about. Tomorrow you're gonna be hearing the protest that took place being discredited as was the building of the pyramid. The questions surrounding and everybody asking, could Africans really have been in a position to build such amazing monuments? And these are the things that we're seeing. What we're seeing in North Africa is part of a larger manifestation. The people have had enough with dictators and with financial sectors, to be honest with you, with big businesses, big banks, big corporations not caring about people's well-being, but only caring about their bottom line and screwing everybody else in the process. And so if one day history is written about how change came about, it should not be written in the sense that it says, well, it started in the Middle East, which is, as far as I know, is what it seems like. It started in Africa. It is the people of Africa. North Africa, it doesn't matter. It is the people of Africa. And think those differences, those things should really be underlined. Again, it is so sad that in the mainstream media, what we've been hearing, I'm not saying all the time. We've heard some times where they would say North Africa, but for the most part, you would read in newspaper, you read in big, really, or listen to even commentators. Some of them, they will be using the term in the Middle East. Egypt is not part of the Middle East. Libya is not part of the Middle East. Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, they are not part of the Middle East. These are African countries. They are on the African soil. They are on the African continent, and this has to be understood clearly. Again, it's gonna fall on people who sees what this is leading up to, who sees where this is leading, to try and make this correction, to try and bring the mainstream media to its senses. Because to me, I feel a sense of division. People wanting to divide the continent, wanting to divide and portray the continent in a different way. It should not be like it. I may seem like I'm naive, but I am not. I'm not gonna claim to be an expert, but I'm a student of history too. I spent a good time reading history book and spent a good time studying history in school. So I know all about the divide and conquer notions. And sometimes it's not something that you see on the ground. It starts with words, simple words. And those simple words, they carry on for generation. And before you know it, where credit is due is no longer being given to where it's due. And this is something that needs to be stopped. We need to understand, realize, again, I'm going to stress this. North Africa is not part of the Middle East. That is part of Africa. It is part of the African continent. It is on the African land. Everybody needs to understand this, especially big media. And it's really surprising to see even big-time newspapers, big-time news outlets making the same deliberate mistakes. They are not mistakes, and that's why I'm calling deliberate mistakes. They know what they're doing, and they're doing it on a continuous basis. I think this has to stop. You need to give credit where it's due. The manifestation for good change for better, did not start in the Middle East. It started in Africa. It may be North Africa. It started in Africa. This leads me to another point that I wanted to discuss, which I think is also important here. We hear about the no-fly zone that has been considered and has been approved for Libya, which is a great thing. It's good to protect the people of Libya. But as South African President Jacob Zuma said, it is good to protect all Libyans, not just the Libyans in rebels' strongholds. No. Even the Libyans in Tripoli, they should be protected. This is not. It is not a thing about we're just protecting people against Gaddafi and then we are striking everybody else. No. Another thing is, it's coming down to that. And this is where I'm going with this thing. Because it's really important people understand where we're going with this thing. That we have seen this several times. We have seen this in Afghanistan. We've seen this in Iraq. And I think this thing people have to realize and start standing up for things that we're seeing. Nobody is defending Gaddafi. I think everybody knows this guy has been a dictator, that he has to go. He's committed a lot of crimes that he needs to answer for. There is no doubt about that. But one thing that we're saying is this, that when these no-fly zones are being put in place and the resolutions are putting in place, they should be fair. And unfortunately, this is an unfortunate thing. It seems to me that the Arab Leagues has more in saying over what's happening on the African continent more than the African Union. This is unbelievable. It is crazy. The African Union is the body on the African continent for the African soil. The Arab Union doesn't have nothing to do with any African country. How come the UN is more concerned, more listening to the Arab League more than the African Union? I don't understand it. I don't understand. I don't know where the African leaders are. I don't know where the African Union leaders are, because they should be mad as hell. They should be standing up. They should be making a statement, because I think this is undermining the authority. It is undermining the authority of the African Union. It is undermining the authority of African leadership. Really, it's degrading to the African body, which is supposed to be overseeing the country. It's really important that the leaders, African leaders, stand up. You need to stand up for what's right. And what's right is whatever decision is to be made through the Security Council to be carried around on the African soil, it has to go through, not through the Arab League, not through the European Union. It has to go through the African Union, because that is a body that's, regardless how disorganized it is. And I know some people there would not agree with me. And there are some leaders who will really curb to that. They will just go ahead and give in to that. But you need to understand, you represent the people. And the people on the continent, they need to see leadership. The days of just saying yes sir, are long gone. It is not time. This is the 21st century. Every nation and every continent has its own way of doing things. I am pretty sure, and definitely sure, that if the African Union will come and say, we need to, let's say, institute a no-fly zone over France, the European Union would go ballistic, would go crazy. That would never be happening. But how come it is being done the other way around? I don't get this. I don't understand this. African leaders, you need to stand up and be leaders like the people elected you to be. Don't be just sitting there and saying, yes sir, yes ma'am, yes sir, yes ma'am. What kind of leaders are you? Then we don't need the African Union. Then it doesn't have anything to do with anything. These are African issues that need to be resolved in an African way. You do not support dictators. That's one thing. For people who are abusing their authority and the powers they have, you are not going to support them. Don't support them. Bring them to the International Criminal Court or whatever. Even the African Union should have an African International Court or something. Show some leadership. Show something. You know, don't be expecting other people to resolve issues on the continent. It will be like a man in his own house hoping for the neighbor to come and resolve issues. Issues that are easy and simpler to resolve. You know, it seems like the leaders are like chicken. And we don't need those kind of leaders. You need to stop. You need to take a stand. You need to understand. You need to not let anybody undermine your authority. You need to let nobody undermine your powers. You need to understand that you were elected as a body. Despite how dysfunctional it is, you represent the people. And if one leader would just stand up and say, this has to be done, that will be done. Again, we thank you very much for tuning in from the African Messenger. Please come back soon, and we'll look forward to seeing you. Thank you very much, and we hope you enjoy this one. Thank you.